Well, when I think of Edmund, I picture a brave sailor who got himself into trouble because he delivered a letter for a hated convict named Napoleon.
So before Edmund delivered the letter, do you believe he was an honorable man?
Well, yes. He took care of his sick father. He had a beautiful woman to come home to after his voyages, and he was apparently good enough for the captain's position on the merchant ship named the Farron.
Mercedes! Edmund! My love!
Do you think that Edmund really loved Mercedes, and was he the only one that loved her?
Edmund's love was so big for Mercedes that they even had plans to get married and had an engagement feast. And no, he wasn't the only one that had loved her. A man named Ferdinand also loved her, and in the end, Ferdinand was the one who got Mercedes. But we know that Ferdinand and Mercedes' marriage was unhappy because Mercedes still had feelings for Dantes, even though she tried to hide it, it was still there.
If Dantes loved Mercedes and she loved him back, why did she marry Ferdinand?
Because of Edmund's bad choices, he was convicted for a crime and was punished for more than he should have been. So they sent him to a prison on an island that was built for the worst criminals, even though he wasn't one. And he was held captive there for many years. And since he was gone for so long, Mercedes decided to just move on with her life because her hopes of Edmund's return kind of just grew slim.
We know that Edmund spent a lot of time in prison, but how did he end up escaping?
While Edmund was in prison, he met this old convict named Faria who had dug a hole into Edmund's cell by himself, and he had been working on it for a really long time. And Faria shared his plans for escape with Edmund and started training Edmund to be a civilized man while they worked on their tunnel to the outside. But Faria died before they reached freedom, and Edmund, being the smart guy that he was, used Faria's death to escape. He took Faria's body and brought it into his own cell, and then he hid in Faria's body bag. And when the guards disposed of the body into the ocean, Edmund cut himself out and escaped.
How did Edmund become such a royal and prestigious man?
Well, while Edmund was in prison, Faria told him about a treasure that could be found on the island of Monte Cristo. And when Edmund finally escaped from the prison, some smugglers rescued him from the ocean and dropped him off at the island he was seeking. While he was there by himself, and he followed the map that Faria had given him and discovered this huge treasure. He later used the money that he had to get revenge on the people that did bad things to him.
What type of revenge did he give, and whom did he give it to?
To sum it up, Edmund pretty much ruined Ferdinand's reputation by turning him into the authorities. Edmund then ruined Ferdinand's relationship with his family, including Mercedes and their child. And this eventually drove Ferdinand to shooting himself because he felt that nobody cared about him anymore.
Everything's ruined. I hate my life.
Another person that was influenced by Edmund was a man named Catos. He framed him and was one of the leading reasons Edmund was unjustly locked up. Once Edmund became a count, Catos tried to rob him, and Edmund did nothing to stop Catos' murder because he saw how bad he was. Edmund also ruined a man named Villefort, the person who sent him to the prison. Edmund did this by making Villefort's wife look terrible, and she began killing family members because she got caught. Then Edmund revealed a very big secret about Villefort to the court about him bearing a child that was born, which eventually drove Villefort to insanity. Danglars was a greedy sailor mate who had sailed with Edmund previously, and Danglars wanted Edmund jailed so that he could become a captain. Danglars later sold his own daughter into a terrible marriage. Once Edmund saw how he wasn't as bad because he finally repented, Danglars was the only one who Edmund pardoned and didn't do anything to.
Wow. Did getting revenge and ruining somebody people's life affect Edmund in a bad way?
No, I don't think so. He helped a couple fall in love, and he fell in love himself with a girl named Hades, who was a servant girl he had rescued. They eventually married, and as far as we know, they lived happily ever after.
So, whatever happened to Mercedes?
Well, it's a really depressing story. She lived a life of misery and guilt, and to our knowledge, Mercedes never found true love again.
Did Edmund learn any lessons to these hardships?
I think that he didn't immediately learn anything from his experiences, but as he grew older, he may have realized that what he did was wrong and that he should have just left the consequences that the people would get up to fate. He destroyed people's lives and then just sailed away and lived happily ever after like nothing had ever happened. But I think in the end, it probably did hurt himself in some way.
Bing bing bam dum dum bam 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 bam.
What's going on?
Ding ding.
Oh my gosh, I can't look. I don't know how to read.
Before Edmund delivered the letter, do you think he was an omnibus?
Do I need ketchup? Or
Oh yeah.
Hey Leah, do you know how to work this thing? I tried it, but I'm not sure if it's too well. Oh, okay. Alright. Oh my god.
Break it.